Hey guys, it's Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel. We're back in the emergency storage shed today for episode 98. Yep, we're almost at the 100. If you haven't seen the last few episodes, we have finally got this steel shelving finished, and I've decided to leave it here and I'm using it. I'll show you that in a second. And I think we might attack those boxes right up the top in this episode and just see how far we can get through them. So I've decided this shelving can stay here for now. It's not permanent, but it's going to be useful storage space for me sorting things out. And I'm labeling things so I know what's in each box. And this is some stuff from the huge workshop cleanup series we did a while back. So there's some motorbike parts and some mower parts. I'm still sorting boxes from that lot. And as I find particular types of stuff, I like to sort of categorize them so I can sort them out later. There's some heavy duty wheels down there that I'll use in the workshop down the track. This is an interesting box of old tools. Those of you that did see that series where we got the old lathes from, there was a lot of nice old planes, wood planes. Some of them I think are quite valuable, and I've put them in a box there amongst a few other tools that I will do an unboxing video on at some stage, and we'll probably eBay those. So I've just left them there at the moment until I find some time to do them. I've got another box here labelled repair jobs. Now I know my entire shed is pretty much repair jobs, but as I'm finding radios and various other things that have some faults and I'd like to try and fix, whether I do a video on them or not, I've been putting them in this box. So they're ones that should be pretty straightforward fixes, things like noisy switches and volume controls. Some of them might be more involved. We might do videos on them, I'm not sure. But rather than have them sitting around the shed on shelves all over the place and getting under my feet, they're going in a little box. This shelf, self-explanatory. I'm putting this stuff on eBay. Those of you who watch my channel regularly will recognise all this stuff. I've mentioned the old Valiant wiper motor I'm going to eBay. They're apparently quite valuable. Someone suggested this would be worth putting on. It's a Makita small size electric plane. Apparently they're quite sought after. It's an older model. And then some Furphy cast iron pieces we unboxed recently, and that rectifier jar. So I'll be getting onto eBay shortly. I just want to get Christmas out of the road with, and we'll follow the progress of those things on the eBay series that I'm doing. So I'll certainly video what goes on with them. And I did have one subscriber say he was keen on the Furphy stuff, so we should get some bids. And the only other thing I've got in this shelf is a little box here which is marked Rock Tumbler, and that's a little vibrating rock polishing thingo that Mum used to use at the farm, and it blew up, and I think Dad had to go at fixing it, but I've just kept all the parts that I find of it in there, and I'm going to try and put that together one day, hopefully get it sorted out. So where does that leave us for today? Well, we're going to start at the top because that makes more sense than starting at the bottom. A bucket of rags, most likely just rags, and I think that white tub's all bubble wrap, so that'll be quick to get through. And then we'll work our way down, probably the black tub next. I have no idea what's in that. So we'll bring those three through to the workbench one at a time and process those, and we'll see how far we get down this stack in this episode. Okay, the bucket does indeed appear to be all rags. I suppose I might as well just keep them, although I could use the bucket for scrap. I'm short on buckets. I'll tip them out. I'll quickly sort out the good rags. The ones I don't want can go to textile recycling out at the transfer station. And I think I've got a box somewhere with a few rags in it, so that will process all those. Now this is super light, so it's bound to have just bubble wrap in it, which is handy because as I'm starting to eBay a bit more now, I need bubble wrap. Bubble wrap and this foam stuff. I save this whenever I find it. It's really handy for wrapping up things, especially delicate items. And there's lots of bits of bubble wrap in here. It's all second-hand that I found or unpacked in crates or boxes, or sometimes I'll even see some in a skip and I'll grab it out because it's expensive to buy new, and this is perfectly fine for eBay. So I'll take this to the shop because that's where I do all my packaging. Very good. Might as well leave the shed now. Okay, this tub was fairly heavy and it's got a mixture of all sorts of stuff in it. It would have come from the back of my shop when I packed up, I think out of the workshop. There's a radio, there's looks like a gas regulator, an old multimeter. All right, we'll have a look through this. There could be some cool stuff in this box. I'll get rid of these rags first, I think. Okay, they're already torn up into reasonably small pieces. Some of this is quite absorbent, so that's nice as rags. I like old tea towels. In fact, that one's probably saleable. These tourist type tea towels do sell quite well. Queensland, the Sunshine State. That's possibly a 1970s one. It's designed in Australia. So, I don't know. It might nearly be worth ironing, you know, that one. We might throw it in the wash, see how it comes out, and we'd probably get at least $5 for that. So there you go. There's a bonus in the rag bag. Most of these others are actually pretty good rags. They're all small enough. Some are quite absorbent. That looks like it's part of a chenille bedspread. Yeah, I reckon I'll just hang on to these because they're pretty useful rags around the workshop, and I do use a lot of rags, particularly when I'm cleaning up old things and they get very messy and oily. So we might just throw all these in a box. They'll compress pretty well, but I'll keep the bucket because I'm running short of buckets for my scrap. Okay, let's get into this tub and see if we can find any good value. Well, a dustpan. Probably need one in the shed. I don't think I've got one at the moment. Another rag, just a red hand towel, but they're handy. Now this thing is it's just a little motor with a couple of rollers. Rotary Tumbler. It's actually, I thought it might have been homemade, but it's actually a commercially made rotary tumbler made in Seattle. And I guess it's used for tumbling gemstones or something like that. It's interesting we find something like this when I just mentioned the vibrating tumbler that Mum used to use. Now, she also did have one of these tumblers where you put large plastic bottles or jars that would sit on the rollers and gradually tumble around and round and round, fairly slow speed, and you'd have a grit or a grinding compound in them, and then you'd change different grits and eventually polish gemstones and things. I kept this, I think, because I was planning one day to maybe try and make a bottle polishing machine. I ended up buying one, and you know, I never used it, and then I resold it. And I don't think I went, even though I'm still a bottle collector, I don't think I really want to get into polishing. It's a whole science on its own, and I don't have the space to set something up. I think we'll plug this one in and just see if it works. It doesn't look to be damaged. And then as long as we can prove that it works and it's safe, I think I'll just sell it in the shop and someone else might make something out of it or even use it for rock tumbling. So yeah, we'll check that, give it a little bit of a clean up and give it a test. Now, a toothbrush. Always use toothbrushes for cleaning, so that's handy. Not just teeth, of course. This is an old analog multimeter, a Dick Smith one. This was mine many, many years ago. I think I probably bought this in the late 70s. Possibly around about 1980, and I've used this a lot and it's still quite okay. I think it works fine. So I will keep this one here because sometimes it's handy to have an analog multimeter. It does have quite a few extra tests. It has a capacitance test, it has a transistor checker. So yeah, that was quite a good meter. The case is getting pretty rough, but it's done its job in protecting the meter. It needs a clean up, but I will be keeping that one. Keeping it because it's actually useful, but also it's part of my, well, almost goes back to my childhood. When I was in my late teens, I was doing quite a lot with electronics back then. So we'll hang on to that one. We'll give it a clean up. Now we have an AWA, it's kind of a clock radio, but it was a charging dock or a dock for a, I don't know if it was for an Apple, for an iPhone. I think it was an iPhone. Yeah, docking system with alarm, clock and radio. Really no use as far as the docking goes anymore because modern phones won't fit on that at all. I guess if the radio still works and the clock works, we might get $5 for it. Have to give it a bit of a quick clean up and a check. If it's not working, I'm not going to try and fix it because I don't think it's worth it. It runs off a little switch mode power supply here, only 9 volts. We'll give that a check and see if it works. Quick clean, we might get $5. Now, what have we got in here? We've got some plastic bags. Oh, they're glass recycling bags, are they? Never been used? Or that's just a smaller bag. I must have kept these when I was first getting into scrap, and I'd put things... Yeah, that's a bottle recycling one. I used to put copper pipe and stuff in these bags, but the trouble isn't, if you don't keep them out of the sun, these bags will rot. So they're not any good for long-term storage. I might take these to the shop and give them away. Someone will have a use for them. I don't want them. There's a few of them here. So they'll be just giveaways. And in the bottom of this tub we have a bit of scrap. We have some copper pipe and an old brass tap. And that's a nice early tap. I think Hugh Jeffries watches my channel sometimes, and Hugh is after some of these old taps for a house he's renovating, so he might like that one. And some more copper pipe here. Looks like it's old fuel line. Another piece, so we'll clean this up. It'll have brass fittings on the end and the pipe will be going there, number 2 copper. A little aluminium bracket here, that's from a TV antenna. It's just a little bit of domestic aluminium. And what have we got in here? We've got an old, well, it's broken. I think it's spelter, which is like a very heavy type of die cast. It's quite heavy. So I think it was just a spelter figurine. Maybe it was a lamp. I don't see how it was going to be a lamp. I'm not sure. Maybe someone's made it up. But the foot's broken off the figurine, so I don't think that's much good. I don't think it was a lamp though. There's nowhere for the wire to go through. So it's probably just always an ornament. Quite an old one. I'm not sure what we're going to do with that. We might even just sell it as it is, and someone can either fix it up or repurpose it into something else. I don't see much I could do with it easily. I think the spelter figure's either lost a hand or it's a bit deformed. May have been in a fire, you know. You just never know with these things. Although it's still got a coppery type finish to it. I think I may just put that in the shop as an old ornament, damaged, and maybe $10, and we'll see how we go. Someone might like it. Okay, we do have a gas regulator in here, probably off a barbecue or something. Now this braided hose has a rubber hose in it, and being old it will not be safe. So I think we'll cut that off. There'll be a brass fitting this end. It's certainly got a large brass fitting there, worth cutting off. The regulator itself is like a die cast or a zinc alloy, and it's got metal springs and diaphragms in it. I'm not going to pull it apart. I'll just probably throw it in irony aluminium. So I'll cut the hose off, cut the brass fitting off. That goes in irony aluminium. The rest of it can probably just go in a shred because it is braided. And it's non-magnetic. It may even be braided brass. Maybe we could put it in our irony brass. Let's have a look. Oh, it actually looks copper. So it's braided with copper wire. So perhaps if we do cut the end off, we could probably slide the braid off the hose, and then at least we do get some number 2 copper out of it as well. All right, we'll clean that up soon. The last thing in this tub is I think this is a fire tool stand with the old 1920s era lady. I think it's been bent. So anyway, we'll sell that one as it is too. I will clean it up. I think the chrome will clean up a lot nicer. The chrome around the top ring's very rusty. But I think we'll be able to sell that just as it is, and someone may well repurpose it. The base is most likely brass. It'll be nickel-plated brass. So anyway, we'll clean that up. We'll get a price on it depending on how it looks. And that empties our tub. We'll get this tub out of here and we'll deal with the things on the bench. I've been cleaning up some bits and pieces, and I thought I'd just have a look at this multimeter. It's quite dirty, but I've just pulled it out of the case here, which needs a good clean out. Found the original manual, which is pretty cool. But I also found a long screw, and I do vaguely remember, I don't know if I dropped it or I think one of the screws might have stripped. So I don't know if I can fix that, but I thought I might as well turn the camera on while I have a look in the battery compartment, because I'm really hoping that I didn't leave batteries in here, because it would have been 25-30 years since I've used this, I reckon. I'm pretty sure I haven't used it whilst I've been over in the Gambia, and that's been over 20 years. So let's hope I remember to take the batteries out. There we go. Oh no, they're in there and they're badly corroded. Well, that one is. This one looks okay. Oh, that's loose. I don't think that should be loose. It looks like, what's this? Hang on. Oh, I think that's the mounting post for one of those screws. Looks like this multimeter needs a birthday. A bit of a service and repair. So that battery hasn't corroded. Won't be any good, I'm sure. But this one has corroded quite badly on the positive end. Oh no, negative end, yes. So, what do we got going on here? Bit of corrosion's dropped down into, there's a little potentiometer there. The terminals, it's probably not too bad. Hopefully it cleans up okay. I'm going to have to take the whole back off it. Let's do that now and have a look. But I think I'm going to have to devote a bit of time to getting this fixed up. There's no screws in either of those. Or that one. There's a screw in this one. Is there? Yeah, I think there is. Because I'd like to save this thing. But it does look like it may have been dropped. Although the screw just vibrated out there. I'm not sure. I also found this little bit of metal in the case, so I don't know if that's out of it. And this little red plastic thing, but it could have fallen in from somewhere else. So let's, oh, there we go. There's the case. Alright, so there's one of the screws. So I only have two. And alright, so that's where they screw into. That's the same as the broken bit we've got here. So that would go in the bottom there. I can glue that back on. I don't have the other one unless it's in here. And that's just, screw goes into the metal, so I'll have to find a screw for that. I don't know why, oh, no, I don't know why that one's missing or out. Is there any other bits in here? Doesn't look like, oh, there's the screw. I don't know why that one was out. And we're missing one of these to mount in the corner. Still, 3 screws should be enough to hold it fine. But we've only got 2, have we? We've only got 2. Oh well, I guess 2 will have to do. I might be able to find another screw. They're very long and they're a fine thread. Now it doesn't look like corrosion's got anywhere else. This little potentiometer in here is quite clean. And the terminal itself isn't too bad. So we might have dodged a bit of a bullet there. I will clean that up. And I might as well take this off. No, I won't do it now. I've got too much else to do at the moment. But I'll put this back in here with the parts that I need. I don't know what... That actually looks like a spade terminal fitting. I reckon that's off something else. I don't think it's off here. And same with that. But just in case, we'll leave them in the box here. They're the 2 screws from the battery cover and the cover itself. Our 2 long case screws. The one broken piece we can glue back on. And the other screw for the battery holder there. So I'll be able to take that off and clean it up pretty good. I think everything else is okay on it. So alright, there's another little repair job for me at some stage. I don't think I'll film that. It's not really that interesting. Just cleaning up the battery terminal and gluing one of the mounts on. But I'll put that aside for a rainy day. I don't need it at the moment, but I certainly don't want to lose it, and hopefully I'll get it back into operational condition. I don't think that belongs with it, but that was in there, so I'll put that in there as well for now. Okay, now I'm going to plug this in and test it, and then we're going to do the same with this rotary, what do you call it? A rotary tumbler. So if we have smoke and sparks and explosions, you'll get to witness them right along with me. So we'll plug this one here into our appliance tester. It only runs off 9 volts from a switch mode power supply, so we're not going to get many sparks for 9 volts. Does it work? Let's turn that on. Okay, we had a light. We've got our clock digits. Can you see those? And all right, there we go. Okay, it's going to work. Let's turn that down a bit. Oh, that's our volume down there. Any wonder I couldn't find it. Okay, so that works all right. Can we get a station? We've got an FM antenna here. It's pretty hard to get reception in my shed. Oh, I know why we're only getting buzzing. We get a lot of interference from the ring light. I'll turn that off. Okay, we might have to go to another station. That one's a bit far away. Oh, there we go. Alright, it does work. Not brilliantly, but it works. There's too much interference in this shed. Alright, so that's I think all we need to do. It looks like the clock's going to work. The radio works. I'll give it a brush off so it doesn't look as dusty. And we shall put just $5 on it in the shop. Okay, let's plug this tumbler in and see if it goes. I've checked the cord. It's got no damage. So we'll power it up through the appliance tester. Okay, that's working fine. We better check we've got an earth because this is a metal one. It will have an earth wire. The radio is double insulated, of course. Okay, that passes. All good. So we've got one spinning fairly fast. The other one perhaps is just an idler. I don't think it spins. Or at least it's not connected to the motor. So really simple. Just a motor driving a shaft. And I guess if you put something in there, will it fit? Well, yes, but it's slipping because it only touches on the 2 high points. What if we put this old jar in there? There we go. Oh, it's slipping again. I think it used to have rubber coating and it's gone very hard. You could probably sleeve something over that or even wrap tape around it. But it obviously works if you want to tumble gemstones or something like that. The machine itself is working fine and it rolls the jar around at a reasonable rate of knots for you to tumble whatever you want to do. Alright, I'm going to just sell that as it is. I can tag it now because it tests safe and we'll put it in the shop for, I don't know, we might try $20 because I think if someone has a use for it, they're going to see value in it. And really, it doesn't matter if it's $1. If people don't have a use for it, they're not going to buy it. So I think we'll go 20 on that. But I will put a safety tag on it. So not huge value out of the shed this week, but we did move a fair bit of volume, and that's always good. Our dollars today, we ended up with $80 at what I priced out there. So that's not bad, considering that really it just came out of one crate, although we did get that bonus tea towel, which I did give a quick wash, hung on the line, and other than a little bit of a stain there, it's actually in very good condition. It's a bit worn, but it's still very presentable for people that collect those things. I think it probably dates, as I mentioned, to the late 70s. Everything else has been processed, as you can see. We got a fair bit of copper. There was $7 worth of copper there, and a bit of brass. That pipe was actually brass, that one. I saved these spring things off the gas line, just simply because they can go in with a box of springs. They possibly will be handy. And the fittings on that line were actually steel. They weren't brass. So I didn't worry about adding in the little bits and pieces there. The AW radio cleaned up very nicely indeed. So we're only chasing $5 on that one. I've still got to do a safety tag for the tumbler. The old tap has lost a bit of plating. It's obviously been used a lot over its life, but I think it's still in pretty reasonable condition, although the porcelain cold button has a little bit of a chip to one side, unfortunately. But it's not too bad, so I think it would work. So Hugh, let me know if you're interested in that one. The fire tool stand cleaned up really nicely. I told you the chrome would, well, it's nickel plate, I think, has cleaned up quite well. So very Art Deco. The lady holding the hoop here, which used to have, it's got a couple of holes in it, and it used to have hooks hanging off it for your selection of fire tools. But someone may repurpose that as something else. I'm chasing $20 on that. The base is solid brass, and the lady herself is brass as well. So quite a nice Art Deco piece there for somebody to repurpose or to put back into use as a fire tool holder. And the ornament we discussed earlier, I'm just going to sell that as it is. I'll get to my repairing of my multimeter at some stage down the track. So there we go, $80 return and more stuff taken out of that emergency storage shed. So that's another episode done. Next week we'll be at episode 99. Now, for those of you that do follow, you may remember there was that large cast iron frame of a mangle against the wall next to that shelf unit. I'll get to that down the track because I suspect there might be a few more parts deeper in the shed, so it's pointless dragging that out until we know we've got all the parts. So we'll continue on the big stack we're working on next week. Just about every tub is a totally unknown lucky dip, so come along and join me for that. Our total now is just short of $16,000. We're at $15,905. So it keeps mounting up. I'm getting a lot of interesting stock for the shop, finding a few of my old treasures and a few useful bits and pieces as well. Most of it is leaving the property, which is good. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.